Hi, this is Charlie Thompson, and these are 16 songs that I choose for this episode.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And here at the very top of the show, I do have a little bit of music news. I also want to announce to anyone that's interested, I had the most delicious slice of cherry pie this evening.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the giant fly rolling around in your office at the
moment. Well, I'm hoping the giant fly doesn't land on the cherry pie. I did put the remnants of the cherry pie in the fridge, so
that would be a travesty. Anyway, all right. So what is your other bit of news?
Okay, so this is something that aired yesterday. So you'll be getting this podcast, several weeks in the future. Mm-hmm. But this aired yesterday. So there was a PBS special. It was the Gershwin Park Prize, and it's honoring Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And as with a lot of these things, things like this happen all the time where you're honoring someone and then a lot of people are trotted out to do cover versions of songs. And
there are many versions of Kennedy Center Honors.
It's the same kind of thing. And sometimes it's great. I mean, there was that one with Aretha Franklin with Carole King, and it was...
I've seen some really great ones, so I agree with that.
Oh, there's amazing stuff like that. But, often it's like the artist of the day covering some classic song and they're in the audience and some they're clapping and all that kind of stuff. Anyhow, they had this thing on PBS last night. I said it's a Gershwin Prize honoring Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And it was opened by Metallica. Now, Metallica, you either like Metallica or you don't like Metallica, and they do a certain kind of music and a certain kind of style. And they have done rock covers before. They famously did Whiskey in the Jar, for example. They also did Black Sabbath's Sabracadabra as well. And, they've done other kind of rock covers over the years. So the obvious thing for them to do would just be to come on and do a Metallica cover of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting.
That's exactly what I thought, too.
Or something like that. And that would be so obvious.
The bee is back or something.
Yeah, it would not take a lot of hassle to work that all out. It'd be very straightforward. But no, this actually blew me away. So they opened this honors evening, and they played the first track off of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which is Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding. And as you know, that is like an 8-9 minute song, and it's got lots of different sections in it. And it's actually musically very complex. And they did such a good version of it. I mean, they Metallica'd it up. It sounded like Metallica playing a Elton John song. But all the parts were there. All of Davy Johnstone's guitar lines were there. There was like twin lead things going on. Where it goes through the chord changes and goes through the different tempos and stuff like that. It is just so good. And it was so well done. I mean, I don't know how long they were practicing that, but it was perfect.
Oh, yeah. And so Tim sent me this and I watched it last night. And the thing that struck me is it didn't sound like a karaoke version of a cover. You know what I mean? It didn't have that essence to it. It sounded very natural for Metallica to play this song. And well, yes, like Tim said, you could obviously tell it's Metallica, but they can't hide that. They're always going to be Metallica. They're not Elton John and Bernie. But it was so interesting. And if you look through all the comments were blown away too. They're like, this is just so good. It just was the least thing you were expecting. They might as well put out there did Candle in the Wind or something.
Yeah, I mean, if they did a version of Candle in the Wind that was done like Nothing Else Matters, for example, even that would have seemed obvious. But this is such an unobvious song to cover, and it's not necessarily a super well-known song unless you're a fan.
Yeah, the only reason I noticed because I've listened to that album from beginning to end. It's not a song you're going to hear on the radio. You'd have to search it out.
Yeah, as I said, I was just so impressed. I mean, I like Metallica. I went to their album launch party for their most recent album, 72 Seasons, and that was all in cinemas. I didn't actually see the band play, but I enjoyed their last album. I thought it was really good. But I don't know. I mean, I think it just speaks to their musicianship because, I mean, a lot of people just write them off as thrash metal or metal and whatever, but to work something out to that degree and make it sound as good as it is. I mean, the original recording's got strings on it, it's got pianos on it, guitars, all this kind of
full
stuff.
Orchestra of a
it's got a Melotone keyboard, and this is just two guitars, bass, and drums, and they've worked it out perfectly.
And it was really nice because, like Tibbs said, like Elton John and Bernie were in the audience, and Elton John had the biggest smile on his face. He was clapping him like he was so happy in his bright pink suit, as he does. And him and Bernie just kept whispering to each other when they were like talking. So you could tell they were enjoying it and discussing the arrangement.
Yeah, and they gave Metallica a standing ovation at the end of the song. I mean, it was unbelievable. And the other thing that's interesting, you look at the audience when it starts. They do audience shots, and people are like, "Oh, what's this? It's just noisy rock, blah blah blah." But then it gets a few minutes into it, and the people are like, "Wow."
And there's like this one lady, I don't know if you saw her. She had like glasses on and like a Karen haircut, for lack of a better word of saying it. You saw her right in the dress right in the front. And she was really getting into it. And she looked like someone you would never see get into a Metallica concert if her life depended on it.
Exactly. Have you ever seen Metallica perform?
I have not. I keep saying I'm going to, though. I feel like they're one of those bands that everybody I know who has says it's a good concert.
Yeah, the problem is that they're so big at this point. I don't want to pay all that money to stand in a massive stadium and see a little screen.
That's exactly what you would end up doing, though.
Yeah, because like in the early 2000s, Hannah saw them at the Roanoke Civic Center, and that's probably the largest venue I'd want to see them at.
That makes a good point because you end up in a stadium at this. Like it would have to be like an NFL stadium or something. And the only tickets I can afford are with the ones that where you're all the way in the sky, literally.
Yeah, this is far more enjoyable. I can sit in my house, I can watch this, I can rewatch it, I can pause it, I can see what they're doing, and I don't know. It's just I got far more enjoyment out of this than I think than being in a massive stadium miles away.
The thing about it is Tim, you're just reinforcing the idea that nobody has any clue how old you are with the statement you made. All right. So I have one little bit of music news, and Tim may or may not have seen this already because it was kind of being pushed around. People were sharing this. And then obviously we'll get into the topic. It's my topic tonight. So have you seen that Dolly Parton's free book program is expanding statewide in Virginia?
No, I didn't. I didn't see that. No.
Okay, perfect. So it's as of this month, this came out. And for those who don't know, is the singer has her imaginary library where they offer children age 5 one free book a month through the mail. It's a learning program she does in her home state of Tennessee, and it's expanding, and it's working with the Virginia Literacy Act, which was sponsored by Senator Louise Lucas. He's a Democrat from Portsmouth, Virginia. And he's been working with her, and part of this, one of the things they did was they wanted to do a free books program in Virginia. So they got Dolly's program, and now children up to 5 can get one free book a month.
That's fantastic. If you ever go to any Dolly Parton business, whether it be Dollywood or Dolly's Pirates or Dolly's Stampede or any of those things, any of those attractions, especially like where we are here, we're so close to Pigeon Forge in Tennessee, and all of those attractions seem to be tied into Dolly somehow, and that's where Dollywood is. If you go to any of them, they all talk about the Imagination Library, or if you want to make a donation to the Imagination Library, or if they sometimes sell stuff like they do at theme parks and shows, and it says, "Oh, all proceeds of this is going to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library."
And so, speaking of that, I was on the interwebs, as one does, with the short media video footage that's everywhere nowadays. Every time you try to go through a reel on Instagram, and I don't know which one I was on or TikTok, but somebody posted that, and I started looking into it and digging into it. So the season for Dollywood just opened, Tim, and Dolly herself came out on season one day. It was in the parade, and nobody knew.
That's fantastic. I mean, I've been to Dollywood 3 or 4 times, I suppose.
Scream.
And I've never seen Dolly. And I've also, sometimes during the season, you'll go to one of these shows because they have various shows. It's like Southern Disneyland, basically. But you go to like one of these kind of shows and they have like live performers and band and stuff like that. And occasionally Dolly will just appear in some of those and join in. And you're like, it's Dolly Parton.
I know, but yeah, she was just sitting in a little. So there was like, it's funny because I saw the video footage of it. She was sitting in like a little carriage with the horses pulling her through on the parade. And she had so many bodyguards around that carriage. There's like 70 people walking around her in like a U shape. But you could tell people were like losing their mind because no one knew she was coming. And she does, I guess sometimes she just decides she wants to go. And they say because it was the opening, she decided she wanted to come.
Well, there we go. Well, I know where her secret apartment is in Dollywood. I read on the internet where it was, and when we was last there, I was like, ah ha ha, that's Dolly's
find
secret.
it.
Yeah, it's opposite the recreation of her Tennessee mountain home.
Yeah, I've heard that before. And to be fair, Dolly does spend most of her time and still lives in Tennessee right now. I mean, I don't know that she was full time, but it's probably not that hard for her to get to Dollywood.
Yeah, I think her main home, I believe, is in Tennessee. I think it's somewhere like Knoxville or somewhere like that is where she lives. But I mean, Knoxville area and Pigeon Forge in the grand scheme of things is not a lot of
Not that
distance.
far.
No.
Not when you have Dolly Parton money. But anyway,
No.
So for tonight's episode, there may be a little bit of awkwardness because I have a feeling some of these songs are going to be strange. But we have Charlie. So Tim had mentioned this to me once before. He talked about Hannah doing this. We talked about Charlie doing this. And then he mentioned again that he'd like Charlie to pull a list together. So Charlie pulled a list of 15 songs. Some of these are ones that everyone knows, and some of these are incredibly random and nobody knows. I've numbered them. And so actually I lied to him. It's a list of 16 songs.
I mean, obviously it would be 16. I mean, 15 is too normal.
So with that being said, I've numbered them, and I'm going to let Tim just pick a random number, and that's the one I'm going to tell you guys. So 1 to 16. There is one that has a word in it I will not be able to use on said podcast, so I will abbreviate that word, and you guys could go on the Google machines later if you're over the age that should be listening to things.
Okay.
So this is a PSA at the beginning. That will not get the full name of that song. All right, Tim, pick a number between 1 and 16.
Okay, we're going to start with the big number 9.
Oh, that's a good one. So he picked Dead Winter Dead by Sabotage. Now, Sabotage was the original band that does the Christmas Trans-Siberian Orchestra thing now. So Trans-Siberian Orchestra used to be an 80s kind of rock band, and their first name was Sabotage. And Charlie owned the entire first album of that, and he loves that whole album. Like, we listen to it a lot in our house because he listens to Sabotage all the time. Now, I think Tim knew a little bit about their history, but I don't know how much he knew.
Yeah, so I actually I don't believe I still have it because I sold off a lot of my vinyl records, but I bought a Sabotage album in a thrift shop for like 50 cents. And it was original to the era, 80s rock type stuff. And I thought it was really good. It was really strong. And it doesn't surprise me that they pivoted from that into that Trans-Siberian Orchestra world, because the musicianship on that album was absolutely first class.
Well, and if you know anything about Trans-Siberian Orchestra, one thing about them is their musicianship. Like, they're really good artists. They have amazing singers. They float through members. I know you don't always get the same person. I understand this. But the core group that started it came from the American heavy metal band Sabotage. This came out in the mid-90s, so like 95. And I think that the album was like their studio album called Sabotage or something like that. And it's very interesting because Charlie has spent many days preaching to me about Sabotage and Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He knows like everything about them. But I find it weird because the whole did you know it's like a concept album, though? Even the Dead Winter Dead album is. I don't know which one you had, but basically this whole album is the perspectives of a Serbian boy, a Bosniak girl, and an old man. The story of the album is set during the Bosnian War, which was ongoing at the time. So the whole concept of where they're like putting that together, kind of like an orchestra does, or like operas, operas can have stories like that too. That's what this whole album's about.
Interesting.
There you go. Let's go. When I say Charlie's into different things, he's into different things. This is really cool, though. If you like 80s hair bands, I think they should give Sabotage a listen because they fall into that kind of thing for me.
Yeah, as I said, top musicianship, great songs, and of the era too.
All right, Tim, take your next pick. I guess we can mark a 9 off. Let me check it off. All right. There you go. Okay.
This will be number 15.
Oh, this is ironic. But wow, I can't believe I just said that because the song is Uninvited by Alanis Morissette. I was going to say this is ironic because we just talked about this song not that long ago.
Yeah, so if you haven't already heard our episode, we did a track by track of Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. And of course, this is a track from that album. So I'm interested that Charlie picked that track from the album and maybe not one of the more obvious ones.
I think it's because in this one, she's more I don't want to say like it's more operatic in a way. That's a bad way of saying it, but it's kind of like a more drawn out kind of drama-ish song.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way of saying it than some of the other songs. It's funny because the other day he couldn't think of this song. So he started singing it and humming it to me. And like I had to spend 20 minutes like listening to him because Charlie does this thing, Tim, and it drives me insane. He'll walk up to you and go, and I imagine he would do this to Tim too, because I'm pretty good at guessing most songs, especially now that I do a whole podcast about it. I've got a whole another world that I didn't even know exists. And so he'll walk up and he'll go, like hum, like let's say he was going to do the Crash Test Dummies, and he went and that's all he would say. It said like the at the beginning of the Crash Test Dummies. And when I go, I don't know what that is, he just keeps doing the same sound over and over again. Like somehow that's going to change me not knowing it. And I'm like, no, I need more information. Like, do you know what I'm talking about when someone does that to you, and you're like, I still don't get it based off this small piece of what you have given me.
Exactly. Yes, I need just a little bit more information just to fill in the blanks.
So he did that the other day with "Uninvited" by Alanis Morissette. When I finally figured it out, I wanted to kick myself because I was like, we literally just talked about this song on the podcast in like full whatever. But to be fair, I don't think he cares too much about the lyrics, Tim. I think he just likes the sound of the song, and that's why he picks this one.
Well, and that's good. And I mean, as I've said before, I'm not really a lyrics person. I'm more a music person. So I can tell if a song has bad lyrics or is no good. Yeah. But I don't always focus on the lyrics all the time.
I think it varies for him. And this is one of those songs that's just melodramatic, for lack of a better way of saying it. So that's what he likes. All right. Give me another number, Tim.
Okay. Well, actually, before I give you a number, I just need to add a correction to the Alanis Morissette episode. I said that anything after Jagged Little Pill was terrible. I forgot the song Thank You.
Oh, you're right. I did too. I hadn't even thought about that song, but that played on the radio all the time.
Yeah, so that's a little small correction for our listeners out there. I did miss that song. So ladies and gentlemen, I apologize about that one.
Well, I'm happy Charlie was able to give you a good segue into that. All right. What is your number, Tim?
Okay. I think we will go with number 6.
Of course. It's Hero by Ricky Iglesias. Which I'm assuming is a song you're familiar with.
Yes, I'm familiar with this song.
For those who are, it's literally about a guy confessing that he wants to be this woman's hero. It's very early 2000s and Ricky Iglesias. Exactly.
And of course, he is the son of Julio Iglesias, who was famous for his song Begin the Big E, amongst others.
I like that that's where you segued it into. But yes, I have heard that. I mean, I can't think the only other song and Charlie didn't put it on this list, and I'm really surprised he didn't, but I can't think of a more dramatic song. The other one that he calls it the Armageddon song, but Aerosmith. And so like, that's the other one that's like melodramatic that he listens to that I always put in there with Hero.
Oh, the I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't say the name, but yeah, he calls it the Armageddon song. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, Aerosmith, that one.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good song. I don't think I've ever seen Armageddon. Is that the Sandra Bullock film?
I've never watched that movie. It's just that song was part of the soundtrack, and in the video, he's looking at the TV screens or whatever.
Yeah.
That's part of the Armageddon thing. It's something to do with the Armageddon movie.
Yeah.
I think NASA maybe would be my guess.
I think, wasn't it on the International Space Station or something?
I thought that was that movie Gravity she did.
I have no idea. I still think there's some merit of having a fork from this podcast where you and I review films we've never seen before. Like we'll review films on the strength of a few screenshots and a quick skim of the Wikipedia.
That we should do I don't know. We'll have an opposite day and do a movie one just to see. Because the thing about it is I'm horrible. And even the movies I have seen, Tim, if I wasn't interested in them, I don't remember them. I couldn't tell you what happened. Like I have such bad remembering of every film that I've seen, unless it's like one that I truly love.
Yeah, I mean, I did a count the other day. There's like 34 films I like or something. And it's just, if you enjoy the art form of cinema, if that really
That's
drives
cool.
you and you love it, do it, love it, watch them. It's fantastic. But for me, it's just really boring. And I see these films, I'm not interested in the story or the characters or anything. And it's got a running time of 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm like, I got
Do
music
I
to
really
listen
want to
to.
do this for 2 hours? I know, right?
Oh, I can't be doing with that.
And the thing about it is it has to get me to, Tim, TV shows and movies have to get me within the first 10 minutes. If I'm not hooked within the first 10 minutes, I'm out. I'm zoned out completely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's maybe why I like my 80s TV shows because they hook you very quickly.
I know, in some way. And there is something to be said about they talk about people who watch the same shows over and over again, which me and Tim are both those people. I already know that. And there is there's like an anxiety piece to that, like people being anxious about not liking the show. So they like just put on what they know they're going to like or something. There's some psychology behind it.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that I just obsessively like one TV show, and I will always like that TV show, and I just want to rewatch every episode and get more information from each one.
And there's just something that feels so comforting about it for me. It's a comfort thing. But anyway, so moving along, Enrique Iglesias Hero. I think it's funny when I'm looking at it on Google, Tim, over here, it says genres and it's under Russian pop and Lebanese pop. I don't think that's correct.
Yeah, I would. That wouldn't come to mind straight away, though. I do feel I need to go into my iTunes library and change the genre right now.
Fair enough. All right. So let's see here. Enrique Iglesias. All right, Tim, pick another number.
Okay, we will go at the very beginning of the list now. We would go to number one.
It's You Needed Me by Anne Murray.
So much diversity on this list already. I mean, we're 4 songs in and he's all over the place.
That doesn't surprise you in any way if you've ever spoken to Charlie more than 2 minutes, does it, Tim? But anyway, so he loves Anne Murray. I like Anne Murray, but Charlie loves Anne Murray, which is incredibly random because, I mean, but it's probably a pretty familiar song for most people. You Needed Me by Anne Murray.
Sure. I mean, it's a song that I'm familiar with. I've heard often, but I suppose it has a little bit of drama to it, maybe. I don't know. It wasn't
The
quite.
opening lyric is, I cried a tear, you wiped it dry.
Well, true. Lyrical drama.
This is what he likes the lyrics, I think.
Okay.
There's this episode of Family Guy where Stewie, the baby, gets obsessed with Anne Murray. And he finds out that she doesn't write her own music and like freaks out because he's like, how can I be listening to these lyrics? And this is one of these songs that you're singing them, but they mean so much to you. You didn't write them. And that's what I always think of now whenever I think of Anne Murray.
Well, you think like Tom Jones. Tom Jones has never written any of his songs. He only sings other people's lyrics. He brings a lot of passion into What's Up Pussycat and Thunderball and things. But no, he's never written any of those songs.
I mean, to be fair, I've said many times as someone who's a vocalist, singing and writing songs are two very different skills.
Sure.
To write music is a completely different skill than to perform it. Some people can do both, and then there's people like me who no.
Well, I mean, going back to the beginning of the episode, the whole Elton John thing. I mean, Elton John is a virtuoso pianist and he's a virtuoso songwriter, but he doesn't write lyrics. He's no good at writing lyrics. So Bernie writes the lyrics, and that's how it works.
Sometimes you just got to find that person to be your duo, Tim.
Absolutely.
All right. Give me another number.
Okay, well, let's go with number 10.
So I don't know if you're going to know this song. There's 2 versions of it, though. So you may know, I think you might know the rock version versus the country version. This song is Best I Ever Had by Gary Allan, but there's a Best I Ever Had by Vertical Horizon. And I'm wondering if you've heard the Vertical Horizon version, Tim.
I believe I have heard the Vertical Horizon song, but not Gary Allan. As I've said before, my journey with country music is prior to moving here in 2011, I had really had zero exposure to country music outside of maybe Willie Nelson or Dolly or something. But, your standard country music through the ages, it just was not heard. It wasn't anything I would ever hear.
So what's so interesting, and the reason I brought that up is I had always heard the Vertical Horizon version. I had never heard Gary Allen once, and I grew up in Southwest Virginia, so you'd think I would have been the one. But Charlie, I've said many times, Charlie grew up with his siblings, grandparents, and so he had all of their children were still living there, and they were older. Like, and they were into kind of like the Dixie Chicks and like Shania Twain and all that stuff during that time. So they were really into country music. So that's what he heard at home. So he had never heard the Vertical Horizon version, and he kept playing this Gary Allen song, and it was driving me insane because I'm like, no, that's not right. And finally, I played him the original because Vertical Horizon did it first, and he was like, I like it, but he talked about he liked Gary Allen's version better. And I was thinking to myself, that's what he grew up on. Well, I found out. Gary Allen's wife, and this is really sad. If you've ever heard this song, it's like the best I've ever had. He's talking about, the best person that he's ever had in a relationship. His wife committed suicide from suffering from depression and migraines. And so he started performing the song in her honor. And so I thought it was really sweet because I talk about how Charlie's very, dramatic and emotional with his music. And that's why he connects with this one.
And I take it he's fully aware of the backstory and everything like that.
I have no clue. But I'm just saying, like, he probably sings it with more emotion than what the Vertical Horizon one does.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because, that person is singing that song from the heart.
Yeah, whereas the Vertical Horizon one is more like your normal alternative rock kind of song. It's a pretty song, though. And I would say that's probably, they were one-hit wonders. I don't know of any other Vertical Horizon songs.
No, there's nothing I've heard of, outside of that song.
It's the same thing with the Nine Inch Nails and Johnny Cash. The Nine Inch Nails have said many times, the Nine Inch Nails, like the Nine Inch Nails, Tim. Like they're one person.
The Nine Inch Nails, the Led Zeppelin. I mean, there's a lot of those bands out there.
Okay, Nine Inch Nails.
The AC/DC, the Queen.
Don't do to Eagles. They'll come find us, Tim.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say that. If I was to say that at the beginning of that band you just mentioned,
we would get banned off the internet.
Don Henley would come and shut this thing down right now.
Anyway, so Nine Inch Nails have said many times that they like Johnny Cash's version of Hurt because it was beautiful and it was emotional, it was raw, and it was really right after, remember, Johnny Cash's wife died. So same kind of situation. So there you go. That's my theory on why Charlie gravitated to this version. It could be completely wrong.
There we go.
Anyway, but you are correct. This may be the most diverse list of songs we've ever had on this podcast. All right, Tim, pick us another number.
Okay, well, let's go to number 3.
All right, so this is the band Right Said Fred, but the song is Don't Make Me Laugh. Have you ever heard this, Tim?
So I'm familiar with Deeply Dippy and I'm Too Sexy and Don't Walk Just Kiss from Right Said Fred. I think this is maybe one of the Right Said Fred hits I'm not super familiar with.
Well, one day, and I wasn't either, Tim. I've got a little bit of a story for this one. So this song came out like in the late, like just in 2014. I didn't even know Right Said Fred was still making music. I couldn't tell you. Like Tim said, I was radio hits and nothing more than this. But this song is literally about being a drag, like doing drag and this kind of stuff and like finding yourself. And for some reason, Charlie was clicking through and he heard it one day. And when he told me the band's name, I was like, did you just say that's Right Said Fred? And he was like, yeah. So I went down a rabbit hole and apparently they're still making music, Tim.
Yeah, I know that they were arguing with people on Twitter in the early 2020s because they were COVID deniers or mask deniers or they had some kind of viewpoint like that. And people were arguing with Right Said Fred on Twitter. And then people were saying, what are you doing? You're discussing science with Right Said Fred. Shut it down.
Where are we at in the world when you're literally discussing science with the two guys from Right Said Fred?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're entitled to their opinions and, take whatever you want. But I wouldn't be arguing scientific viewpoints with two people from Right Said Fred.
You make a really valid point. Have you ever had a moment in your life where you're like, what am I even doing? Like, this is so silly.
Yeah, I mean, I try on the internet, I try and keep it light. I try not to be terribly controversial. I try not to have controversial viewpoints or pitch in with nonsense like that. I just try and keep it light and breezy. I haven't got time for negativity, really.
I haven't either, but there's just certain things that will push my buttons, which Tim can, if you want, that'll be an after the show conversation because usually I'm pretty good, but when you go too far, Tim can tell you I will speak my mind.
Absolutely. Well, one thing that I'm very grateful for is Joy will always be in my corner, and I feel very grateful that I have that in my life.
You don't want to be on the other side. Just kidding. Anyway, what number do you want to go with?
Okay, let's go with number 11.
Oh gosh. So it's Start Wearing Purple. Are you familiar with that song by Gorgo Bardolio?
No, this
Start
is a new.
Wearing Purple, Wearing Purple. You've never heard that?
No, I've never heard that one. Give me some information about this song.
Okay, well, as you can tell, it's not from an American artist. Let me look up this guy. Hold on. I got a whole thing here, but I clicked off. All right. So it came out in the late 90s. It's kind of a punk song. And he says that the song is whenever my girlfriend and I had an argument and she would start screaming at me, I would say, you might as well start wearing purple now, whatever that means.
Okay.
That's what he said the lyrics are from. And the whole song is just him singing, start wearing purple, wearing purple, start wearing purple for me now. They are from the UK, or maybe no, I lied. They're from America. I thought they were from the UK. Apparently they're from New York. But I think that Gorgo Bardolio is probably not his real name.
No, it's probably John Smith or something.
Oh, that's the name of the band. The guy's name is Eugene Huntz, and he's Ukrainian.
Okay.
There you go. That makes sense because he does sound from, he does kind of have an accent. That's why I assumed he was from the UK, but that makes sense. But they've said that their influences are people like The Clash. I have no idea where Charlie found this song, but I think it was one of those ones that was popular, like whenever the internet became popular on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like when it first started coming out. So it was like, yeah.
Yeah, there was sort of the very cusp of the internet, and certainly at the cusp of different medias, some songs prevail. I mean, I have some songs that I really like that were popular when MTV Europe launched, and they were in rotation. I'd never heard those songs before, like Laid Back's Baker Man is a great song. The Creeps, Ooh, I Like It. Again,
yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, fantastic music, but I only know of them because they were on rotation at MTV, and they'd never appeared anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm sure this is where it came from. Like when YouTube first started, or E-Bombs World. Do you remember E-Bombs World, Tim?
Yeah.
And they had videos at one point, something like that. But this is one of those bands that like the members get changed out a lot. Like there's like 17 members of this band, past and current, or something like that. So who knows what the current lineup is? But as far as I'm aware, they're still touring. So if you're interested in that.
Well, they're still out there getting it done, and I'm very pleased to hear that. Also, a quick fly report: the fly is is crawling up the wall, and oh no, it's just hit the ceiling, ladies and gentlemen. It's hit the ceiling.
It's official. I don't think the lady's going to be able to get it up there.
Well, when I record, I close the door, and she's not in here, so maybe later in the night she'll cause commotion. Who can say?
Right when you fall asleep, Tim, you'll hear things go falling.
Oh crikey, O'Reilly.
Well, it's part of her job as a cat who lives in the house is to catch all said flies.
Exactly, or spiders or any other kind of creatures that you have in your house.
She had to
like
put
that.
a paw print on the bottom of that contract before she got in, of course.
Exactly.
All right, so enough about making purple and flies or becoming purple or whatever. I don't know why you would tell his girlfriend to start wearing purple. When I think of purple, I think of royalty.
Okay.
Anyway, so back to the whole thing is, Tim, pick another number.
Okay, well, let's go with number 2.
Okay, so this is a song that I don't think Tim is going to know, but it is a song that I have heard so much recently because Charlie is obsessed with this song. Now, in the video, it's like a guy it's got Terry, the guy who used to do the Old Spice commercials, the African-American guy, broad shoulders, Terry Crews. That's his name.
Okay.
He's singing, and that's what stands out to me. But the song is Stay High by Brittany Howard. And it's a really sweet song. It's just about a guy who's like working all day, and when he gets home, everything's beautiful and he's happy again, and it keeps him high.
That's good. Is this a new piece of music, or is this something that's been out for a while?
Relatively new. I would say 2020 or so is when it came out. But it's kind of like an alternative indie kind of song. Once again, I have no clue where Charlie learned this song from. He has a good habit of picking up songs that I wouldn't know where they come from.
What's his preference for playing music? Is he Spotify, YouTube music? What's he into?
YouTube music. Charlie's team YouTube music. He has used, speaking of Spotify, I tried the AI DJ today. Have you tried that yet, Tim?
Yeah, I tried it for about 15 minutes. And I thought, I don't want this guy yakking over my music.
Mine didn't yak over my music. Mine said like one thing and then it went straight into the songs.
Interesting.
My AI apparently did better than Tim's. I got a better AI DJ.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I see it as something that's a novelty. I don't see it as it's something you use once to say, oh, I wonder what this AI DJ is. And then you never use it again.
I mean, to be fair, Tim, that's probably exactly what I did. I let it play songs for me today, and I will say it did a good job of finding songs that I like, and like the selection was good of the music. Like it knew me well.
Yeah.
Just because I listen to it all the time. Though I do run into an issue, and if I finally I've given up on getting my last year's wrap up, but when we do this year's wrap up, I have realized I have one problem. When I go to sleep every night, and this is if you're into sleep stories, there's this girl, her name is Michelle. It's called Michelle's Sanctuary. She does these sleep story albums, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I put one on every night. So they're going to be really high on my listen list. It's probably be the number one played artist or something.
was sleep stories. I can't sleep with like music and stuff on. It just distracts me. I have to turn it off.
See, I can, but I learned my lesson with classical music because classical music will start out like, and then it'll be like screaming organs at you or something at 3 a.m. and you have a heart attack and fly out of bed. You know what I mean? Like they become rapidly intense very quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Charlie occasionally runs an Enya or something like that kind of playlist.
Yeah, I can't have that going. I just find it too distracting.
See, I have the opposite problem where I need something for me to focus on because if I'm in my own thoughts, I'll never get to sleep.
That's true. Well, I mean, I normally have the ceiling fan going because the whir of the ceiling fan at the moment is just a little bit louder than my ears ringing.
That's fair. We keep a fan on, too, when we go to sleep, regardless of the temperature. Like Ted said, it's almost more for the sound than anything else.
Yeah.
Because this is obviously a sleeping podcast. All right. Well, Tim, give me another number.
Number 7.
Okay. This is My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Oh, an absolute classic. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. Now, this is exactly the music I would expect Charlie to be listening to. Because what I know about Charlie, and I know the kind of music that you tell me that he enjoys, I can see him getting home, cranking on the Frank. I really can see it.
Yeah, he's definitely into that. That does happen occasionally. I'm not sure why he picked My Way. It really could have been any Frank Sinatra song and he would have been down for it. Yeah. And he likes to yell it as loud as possible.
Most of all, I did it my way.
Yes, that is part of Charlie's music collection. Is songs can I yell them as loud as possible?
Now, does he prefer the original, or is there a particular live version that speaks to him?
He's very original. He usually sticks to the record.
Okay. Well,
the only band that I know that he's super into live versions is Pink Floyd.
Okay. And, depending on what era of the live performance, they're sometimes very different. I mean, you got, like Delicate Sound of Thunder, Pink Floyd is very different to early live Pink Floyd. So, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
he seems to do that. That would be, I would say, early Pink Floyd is his favorite, and that is one that he'll put on. We even had some of their live albums. I think we sold the vinyl on eBay because, like Tim said, we went through so many and it wasn't getting used as much as you'd think it would. One of our friends, Tim, and I don't know who it is. It was somebody that I think you're friends with as well, posted a statistic about how many people have vinyl that just sit on they don't even own a record player. They just buy vinyl to buy vinyl. And in their defense, I have tons of vinyl that hasn't touched my record player to Lord knows how long.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe you're purchasing it as like a merchandise type item, but I see stuff like that as a functional piece that you buy it because you listen to it and you enjoy it. I found the vinyl thing is I got into it, but I found that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought it would be. It's very there's reasons the compact disc was invented.
I
It's
agree with
very
you.
inconvenient. It's very expensive. It's large. It's fragile.
You have to
There's
set
only
it up each time.
Yeah, it's only 17 or 18 minutes aside. And yes, the album art is big and it's cool and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just went through I had a reasonably large collection. I pulled out maybe 20% of it that I wanted to keep and I eBayed the rest.
And gave me like 4 of them.
Yeah.
Madonna Summers came from Tim.
There we are. And I focused and doubled down on the compact disc, which is my favorite format, obviously.
The 2 albums that I will say that I own that get played the most is I have one of my Dolly Parton's albums I really care for, a really nice one of those. And I really like the Dirty Dancing soundtrack on vinyl because it's very 60s sounding. But I think that what's annoying for me, and then it's just like you have to flip it. Like when it gets to its end, and then you have to set the thing back down right at the right place, and you have to make sure they're on the right speed. It's very inconvenient in a way.
Yeah, I mean, this is a technology that's over 100 years old. I mean, it's remarkable in some way that it's lasted as long as it has. And it's also remarkable that there was a renaissance with it because it doesn't make any sense in the realm of technology why you'd still want to be using vinyl records. Because, I mean, some people say it sounds quote unquote better. I mean, it sounds different. I think that's probably the best way. It sounds slightly different depending on how it's mastered. But it makes no sense. I mean, there's a few enthusiasts, but nobody is buying like tube TVs, for example, and going, wow, isn't the picture so warm?
But see, you know what I think it is, Tim? I have a theory on this. The reason that vinyl became mainstream again is music is the one thing where people tend to be, I don't want to say gatekeepers, but I knew them back when they were this, or I knew them back when this was going on. So, like people who talk about like before Metallica became mainstream, just the first thing that I could think of, I was the original. And in some way getting the vinyl is like, it makes you the original. Does that make sense, Tim? I feel like that's where it comes from, is that kind of gatekeeping aspects, which I don't subscribe to. I think it's silly. But you've been with people who have been like, well, yeah, I knew the band before Jared left or whatever it was. That's just an example.
Sure, and also it plays into nostalgia. But the other interesting thing is a lot of people, young people who are buying these records, never bought them when they were kids because it wasn't a thing. I mean, it's very, everything about it is very bizarre, and I get the sense that the hobby, if you will, is taking a bit of a dip purely because the records are becoming so expensive.
They're very expensive. We were looking at one. We literally went to the store today and Charlie stopped because he loves the Charlie Brown like Christmas stuff. And they had a really nice Charlie Brown Christmas album, but they wanted like $36 for it. And I was like, no.
Yeah, when you can buy the CD for $11.
I could go on YouTube, Tim.
Yeah.
It's just the Charlie Brown Christmas. It's not that serious. Anyway, all right. So give me another number, Tim.
Okay, we're going to go at the very top of the list, and we're going to go with number 16.
All right. So this is kind of interesting. Once again, it's random. It's called A Million Dreams, and the person who sings it is, if you've seen it, it's people will think it's Hugh Jackman and Michelle Williams because it's from The Greatest Showman, the movie. But
Okay.
the guy who actually sings it is Z Zuffman. I don't know who that is, but have you ever seen that movie? Are you familiar with it? Do you know anything about it, Tim?
No, I've never heard of that film, and I think I know who Hugh Jackman is. I don't know the other person.
So basically it's from the 1800s and it's about P.T. Barnum and, like his natural despot,
Circus people.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's like it's Barnum and Bailey Circus. It's the kind of history, but it's a musical. And
okay.
it's actually quite good. Tim, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this might be what you would enjoy because the music is quite good. But I feel like a lot of people think Hugh Jackman's the one actually singing it because in the movie he's the big character and he's mouthing it, but he's not. So there you go.
Okay, is it like a Bohemian Rhapsody thing where it's a couple of people making that sound and they sort of mix it all in?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a huge movie though, and the actual album is great. Like I've listened to the full album back and forth, all of it. Why he picked this song is because I mean it's pretty melodramatic. It's like talk about how he can close his eyes and a million dreams, all the dreams in his head, all the ideas he has. And if you've talked to Charlie, he's big on ideas. He's an idea man. So I figure that's why he picked this one.
Well, there we go. As I said, none of that stuff was familiar to me at all.
Anyway, so that was number 10 said.
Yes.
All right, give me another one.
All right, let's go with number 4.
While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Okay, and which version are we going with?
So he left it blank because he likes more than one. So for those who don't know, obviously there's the original by the Beatles, George Harrison, Eric Clapton, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there is another version by this, what is that newer band who does it that he likes? Modest Yahoo, is that their name? I can't remember.
Modest Mouse? I don't know.
Hold on, I'm giving it a goog, guys, because there's a remake he likes a lot that's more modern. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I
mean, I'm surprised that he didn't mention the Prince version from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
I mean, if you gave him a chance, he probably would. He likes all of them. It doesn't matter. But to be fair, he loves every version of this song, and this song probably plays pretty rapidly in my head all the time. Because even Santana did a version of it. There's Jeff Headley. I think Regina Spektor did a version. Like, it just goes on and on, Tim. But there's one that's really new, and it's like the guy's like Modest Yahoo, I think is the name, or something close to that, that Charlie listens to all the time.
I thought Modest Yahoo, I thought that was an offshoot of the search business that was popular in the early 2000s.
It could be. I don't know. Or it could be what is the guy who's over Israel? Isn't his name like Modest Yahoo? That might be who I'm thinking
No,
about.
you're thinking of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Okay, fine. There's some modern day version that I don't know who sings it. And Charlie left it blank because he said I like all the versions of this song.
Well, there we are. Well, I hope that he's familiar with the director's cut of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, the one that has Prince playing guitar, because that probably at this point is a definitive version.
He's very familiar with it, Tim, because I play it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, like Toto have done a great version. George Harrison as a solo artist has done a great version. And of course there's the original, but that Prince version is something special.
Like I said, even Fish, I think Pierre Frampton did a version at one time. Everybody and their cousin.
Everybody's done it. Maybe
it's this guy, Jake Shimabukuro. That sounds like something Charlie would listen to that I don't know the name of. I'm going to assume it's that guy.
It sounded like he was clearing his throat.
Well, that's the version I'm going with. But he's very familiar with the While My Guitar Gently Weeps, because I have played that version many times in our house with Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, Steve Woodward. The list goes on and on. So with that being said, I still love when Prince steps forward in that video. It is like the most ultimate moment for him.
Yeah, when he sort of falls off the stage and then like his roadie sort of holds him, then pushes him back up. And Danny Harrison thinks that's the best thing he's ever seen. You can tell in the look in his face how much he loved it.
I know. He just looks so like, wow. It's really cute. If you've never watched that, just go on the Googs machine. It's pretty easy to find.
Yeah, and I recommend not the one that was originally posted. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame put up a director's cut version of it, and it is actually much better.
I agree with Tim on that. All right, we've got 4 or 5 songs left, Tim. What you going to pick?
Okay, I'm going to go with number 8.
Now, this is going to be another song that Tim's going to be like, really? But it's Harry Styles. Do you know who Harry Styles is? Have you heard the name?
Harry Styles was a member of the band One Direction. Yes. I do know this. See? Yay! I'm down with the kids.
So he picked the song Sign of the Times by Harry Styles, which came out in 2017. And it's definitely a soft rock, pop rock. But I mean, it's like Stop Your Crying. It's a sign of the times. Welcome to the final show. It is very, very melodramatic, Tim. One of the lines is just like literally called, it says like the bullets over and over and over again. Literally the word bullets.
See, I was hoping it was going to be a cover of the Prince song "Sign of the Times," which is a fabulous song, but no, not a sign of those times.
I mean, to be fair, if you heard this song, you would probably be like, "That's actually not a bad song." But Charlie really loves Harry Styles, and actually, shout out to Brandy, my twin sister is a big Harry Styles fan too.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever heard any Harry Styles music. As I said, I did know that he was formerly a member of the band One Direction. See, so I did know one thing.
Tim, have you ever listened to a One Direction song?
No.
There's ironically, One Direction song I like. And the one that's like, you're insecure, don't know what for. I don't know what it's called. But if you're familiar with that song, that's the only one I like.
Well, there we go.
I was never into it. I mean, they were past my time because, like, what was it, like 2011 or something when they came out? I don't know.
So, something like that. I remember the name being mentioned a number of years ago, and I didn't pay a great deal of attention to them.
I know they're British, and there was like 5 of them, and there were boys all together doing things.
Yeah, they're doing synchronized dance steps, and they're probably all very good looking. I mean, it fits the standard mold for that stuff.
All right, Tim, we got 4 more songs. What you got?
Okay, we are going with the number 5.
All right, so this is the one that I said I'm gonna have to keep it PG with. So the song is from. Have you ever heard of the singer Dennis Leary, Tim? Probably not. I don't know.
He's a sort of comedian, social commentator type
Okay,
thing.
then you have. So it starts with an A and ends with Hole. That's the name of the song. Have you heard this song, Tim?
I haven't, but knowing what I know about Dennis Leary, it doesn't surprise me that this would be a song that he would have.
Yeah, so basically it's talking about it is kind of comedy. He's an early 90s like parody comedy kind of song, but the song is literally talking about he's mean to people and not nice, and he's describing it like he's describing it like I'm just a regular Joe with a regular job, average white man in suburbia slob. And then he's like talking about, I drive slow in the fast lane. I do this to make other people mad. That's the whole song. And Charlie loves this song. He listens to it probably multiple times a week.
The only thing I know about Dennis Leary, he's the one who famously had that skit about Keith Richards, where I think it was in the 80s or 90s, Keith Richards went on MTV and said, kids, I'm speaking from experience, I've done all the drugs in the world, you shouldn't be doing drugs. You need to stay clean, like kids, don't do drugs. And Dennis Leary said the kids couldn't even do any drugs if they wanted to, Keith. You did them all. There's none left for anybody else.
Stay away from the drugs. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him, but Charlie listens to a few of his albums. That's an incredibly random American comedian for Charlie to find, but it's true.
Mind you, I used to share a house with a chap, and he used to like Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler has a
Charlie's favorite actor is Adam Sandler.
Yeah, and he had a comedy album, and that was often on repeat in the house that I shared. So I know where you're coming from with this concept.
Oh, Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights, Adam Sandler's concept albums, all of them, Tim. Yeah. I've heard them many times.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm familiar with that world.
You know what surprised me? The 2 artists that didn't make it on this list for Charlie, spoiler alert, everybody. Tenacious D is not on here, which is a favorite of Charles, and Enya is not on here.
Well, there we go. I was expecting a little bit of Orinoco flow.
Yeah, that would have totally been it. I don't know what he would have picked. Maybe he didn't pick Tenacious D because he was worried about keeping it PG. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But I am surprised Enya didn't make it either because he listens to all kinds of Enya albums. There you go. All right, we got 3 songs left.
All right, we are going with the number 12.
So this is the Italian opera singer Andrew Bocelli, and it's time to say goodbye.
Okay, well, I'm familiar with some of the work of Andrew Bocelli.
We've heard it many times at our house. This is the one that you've probably heard. He sings it with, there's a girl who sings it with, if you've heard any of his music, this is a pretty famous song. Probably his number 1 song, I would say, that most Americans would know. I don't know much about him, but Charlie has fell down the Andrew Bocelli I guess, rabbit hole for a long time. But it's like that one that's like, you want to live forever. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
it's the Queen cover.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's not it. I lied. I lied. That's not it. That's the same one that he sings that one, but that's not time to say goodbye.
Gotcha.
I lied to everyone, guys. But anyway, this one is an Italian song, and there's an Italian version that's in Italian, and then there's an English version that's in English.
I think I believe he is an Italian singer. I think he is
He
Italian.
is, yeah, he's Italian. I mean, his last name's Borcelli.
Well, there we go.
But yeah, this one, and then he does sing "Who Wants to Live Forever." He does that version of that too. But this song, he sings with this lady. Her name is like Sarah something, Sarah Brightman.
Sarah Brightman. She's great. She was a West End star, but she also had a little bit of a pop career as well. My favorite song by her is Starship Troopers. It's fantastic.
Does it surprise you that she's singing with Andrew Barcelli?
No, because her background is singing sort of West End musical type music, so she would have that kind of range to sing that kind of music.
Charlie set me up to fail. He wrote Andrew Borcelli, but Googling this, I think his name is actually Andrea Borcelli. Someone's probably screaming at me right now. I'm just reading off the list, okay? I didn't know. If you're a huge Italian opera fan, I take that back.
I mean, people don't come to this podcast for complete accuracy. They come for it for music and a bit of banter.
Well, I started to lie to him a minute ago, and I'm like, nope, different song. But Andrea Borcelli, Time to Say Goodbye. And then there's the Italian version, but the American version, he sings with Sarah Brightman. That for clarification for everybody. All right, we got 2 songs left. You want me just to read them off, Tim?
Well, I want to pick them.
Oh, okay, pick them.
Which one shall I go for? Number 13. I'm lucky for
Number
some.
13. All right, hang on. Oh no, I clicked the wrong one. All right, so this one is Tracy Chapman. It's Fast Car. He specifically put not the country version.
No, the country version was fine, and it opened a lot of people up to that song who wouldn't necessarily know the original because the original was such an amazing piece of music. But the definitive article is the Tracy Chapman song.
He has, so I don't think he knew this song. And one day, well, after we got together, I don't know if we were dating, married, whatever, but something happened and I played it. And in his mind, he was so excited because he was like, I've never heard this before. This is amazing. Like, it was like the best thing for him. And he played it on repeat for probably like weeks, Tim, like a good 6 weeks. I would turn the corner and I hear Fast Car playing in the other room. So he was obsessed with it. But I mean, Tracy Chapman's got an amazing voice.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole of the album that comes from is amazing. And I mean, I don't think she does a lot these days. I mean, she has sort of a pocket of popularity, like mainstream popularity around the time Fast Car came out. And she always had very much a cult following and people loved her music. But I think in the last few years, outside of that appearing at the CMT Awards, I don't think she really does a lot. I don't think she performs a lot. And I don't think she's actually released any new music in a while.
I wondered if she was in bad health because I just haven't seen much about her. But I don't know that. That could I'm just saying that's what I kind of always wondered, but I never really knew because you don't really hear much out of her.
No, but I mean, maybe she's just living her best life and living off Fast Car royalties. I don't know.
She could have just been like, I don't have to put out any more music. Why would I?
Exactly. I know that she appeared on David Letterman's show somewhere near the end of his run because he finished in 2015, and then she hadn't been heard from for a long, long time. And then Dave went on some skiing trip or something, and he felt this song was the soundtrack. One of her songs was the soundtrack to his trip when he was spending time with his son and stuff. So of course, when you've got a late night show and you have bookers and stuff, you can call Tracy Chapman and say, "Hey, Dave really loved your song. Can you come and perform it?"
I mean, that's true. Fair enough. Oh, I have confirmed that While My Guitar Gently Weeps version that he listens to the most now is Regina Spektor.
Okay.
There you go, everybody. That's the version. I know it was weird. It was a name that I wasn't familiar with, but that is the one that he has been listening to the most. But he did say, in true authority, it doesn't really matter. I like all of them, so he didn't put a name.
There we are. He's feeling that song regardless of who's interpreting the music and everything.
Correct. All right. We have one song left, and I think it's kind of funny. This is the song. This is the song "We Like to Party" by the Vingas, which is a great song if you were not familiar with this song. But I think Tibbetts.
Yeah, I've heard this song
the Vega
before.
Boys is the one who sings it.
Yeah, this is the perfect song to round out 16 of the best from Charlie.
Was there any shockers here, Tim, or did it all stay very on brand?
It stayed completely on brand, though. I was very surprised there wasn't any Tenacious D in this list because I know how much Charlie loves Jack Black.
He does. If my husband were to leave me for someone else, it would be because Jack Black tried to marry him.
There we are.
That's just the truth of the matter. Which, I mean, I can't say I blame him. And he's still very sad to find out that Tim has now seen Tenacious D 3 times in concert. He was sad to figure that out.
I have. I saw them, I think it was 3 consecutive nights, if I remember correctly, because Hannah wanted to see Tenacious D, and she loved Tenacious D and never saw them. So I said, well, I'll just book tickets for all the UK dates then.
I mean, that's fair. I'm surprised like Wonder Boy didn't make it on here, because that's the one that he sings the loudest in the house all the time.
Yeah,
and like lives rent free in my head.
Yeah, Wonder Boy's a great song. I mean, the version of the Tenacious D album is really good. But I would say the live version from the Brixton Academy, and of course, obviously, you would be familiar with the live Brixton Academy DVD as it was when I had it, because I'm sure Charlie's probably played it to death. But the version of Wonder Boy on there is really good.
He's listened to live versions. He's listened to the original. Like Charlie goes back and forth with Tenacious D, and anything that Jack Black puts his name, voice, anything to, Charlie's right there with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the later Tenacious D isn't anywhere near as strong as the original. I mean, like the first album is the definitive article. And then, like, the Pick of Destiny soundtrack, it's okay. And then they've come out with some other things after Rise of the Phoenix and things like that. It's all right. But that first album that was that has Dave Grohl playing guitar and drums on it is fantastic.
And I only recently found that out and told Charlie that, and he didn't know it. I was the one who told Charlie that it was Dave Grohl playing.
Yeah, not only is he playing all the electric guitars on it, he's playing the drums as well.
I mean, who knew? I mean, he's like one of those people who's naturally good at everything. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I've never seen him play a keyboard, but I mean, I've seen him play
guitar. Put it past him.
Guitar, bass, and drums at least.
If he's anything like, I mean, I don't know, if he's like Paul McCartney, I feel like you could just put the instrument in front of him and like the synapses in his brains just start going off, and somehow he knows how to play it. He's never seen that instrument before, but now he knows. Him and Prince, I feel like Prince is the same way.
Well, you know, he's best friends with Paul McCartney, so probably Paul McCartney's giving him ukulele lessons, or I don't know, show him how to play the bagpipes or something. I don't know.
That's fair. All right. Well, with that being said, there is Charlie's list. Tim will have to do the same with Hannah, and we can see how many clapping songs make it on the list.
There we are. I will ask her if she wants to participate.
All right. Do you have anything else you'd like to tell the people?
Just be extra kind to everyone you meet.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
To remind me of another day to